All right, you're welcome back to the show. This is the discussion segment, like we promised, that we have other things for you this morning. So today we'll be talking about managing hypertension for a healthier future. Of course, today is World Hypertension Day, so we are commemorating the day, and we're also using today to create awareness that yes, this ailment, hypertension, is with us now, and it's skyrocketing now. You know, when we are growing up, we think that it's a sickness for older people.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now we are meant to understand that even people that are in secondary school, that they suffer from this. And then we talk about so many things. What are the causes of this particular kind of ailment, and then what triggers it, the symptoms, what do we need to look out for, so that when we start seeing those signs in our body, we need to, check into the hospital for a proper diagnosis. These and many more are what we have for you this morning on the program. Good morning, Anambra. And we have our guest who is already seated with us this morning that will be helping us to dissect this topic. And he is Dr. Afam Aneme. He's the Director of Public Health and Disease Control, Anambra State Ministry of Health. Doc, glad to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, and thank you for accepting me to come today.
All right. Like we said earlier, we are talking about managing hypertension for a healthier future. And of course, I'm still here with my colleague, Actually Chukwokabwe.
Well, no, thank you so much, Chidima. Well, to me, hypertension is something that, as a child growing up, I always think, because I grew up to know that my grandmother was hypertensive, and she always has akbogu. You understand? So after each meal, she's always taking a drug. I always knew that one. Then the hypertension stuff is what she takes most times in the morning. And as kids, nobody envied seeing old people take drugs.
Yeah.
Because I knew as a child that in one good affair, you understand, to take tablet and swallow. I would rather tell you that give me injection if it were possible. But I believe as a doctor, you know that it's not everything that we take injections for. Because in Wagu, I have that. But then this woman takes this drug and you begin to wonder. I was thinking that this drug is what keeps her alive. So you begin to wonder what could result in somebody needing drugs in order to stay alive on a daily basis.
And then you see a lot of people that will tell you that it's not their portion. But what they've gone to the hospital and they've been diagnosed of this particular ailment, but they tell you it's not their portion. So they take it on just days that they feel that they are weak or their strength can no longer carry them. You see them taking it. And these are the people that will end up, let me not use the word dying, but they will end up having a complicated case when it comes to high BP. But we have an expert in the field this morning, a professional, so to say. So we leave everything for him to do. Huh? We are just talking based on what we experience in life. But we have a doctor right here in the studio this morning. So let's come to you, Dr. Afam. When we talk about hypertension or someone being hypertensive, what actually are we talking about? What actually happens to the organ or system of the person?
Yes, thank you very much. Let's begin this discussion from knowing what blood pressure is.
Okay.
Because with blood pressure, you now say it has gone
high, then that becomes hypertension. So what is blood pressure? Blood pressure is like, I want to bring it down to a lay person's language so that people will understand it. Today is a day set aside for blood pressure and hypertension. Nothing else will be discussed in this room other than hypertension and blood pressure. Right. Yes. So blood pressure is the pressure with which the heart is pumping blood against the walls of the blood vessels where those blood will have to go through. So in the medical school, we say this cardiac output and peripheral resistance. In other words, the pressure, the force with which the heart is pumping blood. As we are now, all of us here, our heart is being, that is force, that is pressure, pushing out the blood. As it's pushing it out against the walls of the blood vessels, against the walls of the arteries, the veins, the arterioles, the capillaries. These are all different types of blood vessels we have in different parts of the body. So when the push out of the heart is that very high, and then the resistance is also high coming from the blood vessels, you say one has an increased blood pressure. And this is what we call hypertension. Increased blood pressure is what we call hypertension. So that is actually what happens. And then we now find out that there are some classifications we can give to hypertension. depending on the area you want to look it at from, you can say you have primary hypertension, secondary hypertension. The primary hypertension is the one we call essential hypertension. The other one is secondary hypertension. When we mean secondary, then what it means is that something is causing it.
Okay.
It's secondary to something. In that case, it's usually curable. Once you identify the cause, get it removed or get it treated, the blood pressure stops. That is for secondary hypertension. But the primary is one that the cause is even not so clearly known, but it just have to come. There may be predisposing factors. That is the situation in which you find yourself, then you are likely going to have it. We call it predisposing factors. I'll say come to it. Those ones, blood pressures of those kind, essential hypertension, or call it primary hypertension, those ones, it's difficult to say it is this is causing it. But it is there. And they are the ones you said initially that you know mama, to your own mother, to have been taking drugs, almost every day he takes drugs. Yes, if he doesn't take, complications are going to come up. And if he doesn't have complications, if he does have complications, then other things might come from there and may be difficult to control at that point. So that is for essential hypertension. Then the other type of classification we have is what we call systolic and diastolic. When you go to hospital, they tell you it is 150 over this. That one at the numerator, as a fraction, 150 is systolic. The other one below, the other half of the fraction is diastolic. So, but these are terminologies that concerns health workers. We don't have to mention these and start mentioning figures. Then the other classifications are, for instance, for those who are already hypertensive, you can say somebody is having severe hypertension, moderate hypertension, and mild hypertension. These ones concerns clinicians when you go, but for diagnosis and so on, because those classifications determine the mode of treatment and so on and so forth, and how the person is going to be on drugs, and the number of drugs, the frequency of the medications, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is just introductory.
All right, thank you so much for that introduction. I can say to quite Igbo language because you know the kind of audience we have. But Abia sometimes some people might be wondering, hypertension. What is hypertension? Oh yeah,
exactly.
So that our Igbo audience, people that don't understand English very well, they will understand what we are saying this morning. And here was our that this high blood pressure. Can you hear a area like signs and symptoms? You see, not the Wakago close to it. I'm nowhere or ya de malaria.
Yeah.
But so we want to know then with specific things that we should look out for, like signs and symptoms of this particular ailment.
Very important question, Kejulefa. Unfortunately, Kai will be an essential hypertension, primary one. There is no known symptoms. I'm telling you, it can be asymptomatic. It's usually asymptomatic. That is, no symptoms at all. The individual is healthy, walking around, doing his normal business. He's not known to be hypertensive. But he has it without knowing. It is only in few fractions of individuals who are hypertensive that you have symptoms. And those ones, in my own language, I can say those ones are lucky, because those symptoms will now make you to go and check. And they're the ones that usually come up with maybe headache, maybe dizziness, maybe they don't sleep well, they have loss of sleep at night. These are some of the symptoms you may find in some people who are lucky. Because if you don't sleep, you want to go to hospital to find out why you are not sleeping. When others are sleeping, you are awake. If you have headache that is not responding to paracetamol, every time you are having headache, you want to go and check. Those ones are the lucky ones if it is hypertension that is causing those symptoms. Or some are dizzy. Just keep feeling dizziness. You make a step from one to make some meters of movement. You start feeling dizzy. He wants to fall and you start holding things like that. These are the ones who are lucky to have them. But generally speaking, essential hypertension is asymptomatic. It doesn't have symptoms. And that is why if it keeps going up and nobody knows, if it is nobody diagnoses it, the person is not on treatment, it lands in complications. And then the commonest complication is sudden collapse, sudden death.
Cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest. That is the danger of hypertension. The world is not foolish for creating a whole day to discuss about it and sensitize the public. Because it keeps rising, nobody will know. People are normal, so going about their business.
Somebody can be healthy 1 minute, the next minute
he's gone. Sudden death, sudden collapse. Before my very eyes, when I was in teaching hospital as a house officer, a doctor who has finished seeing patients, he went in to do some other things and suddenly collapsed. Inside teaching hospital, before people could be called, other passing by doctors could come around and do those resuscitative things we do. Life is gone. And then later on, we carried out an autopsy and found out that the heart was enlarged. So everybody's attributing it to a cardiovascular disease, most likely hypertension. But he's dead now, so nobody will measure and check.
So even when somebody dies out of hypertension, there is, cardiac arrest, it cannot be detected to know if it was hypertension or...
That is autopsy.
Yeah.
So people say, how can he suddenly die? Let's do an autopsy. And the relatives and the family gave consent for that autopsy to be done. And we found out the pathologist came and said the heart is more than usual. The size of the heart is more than usual. And everybody said, okay, if it is more than usual, it is either hypertension or some other things around cardiovascular system that is causing that problem. But he is dead. You can't measure blood pressure on a dead person.
Okay, let's talk about some of the
So
things.
other complications that might arise, let's say it now.
Yeah.
That one is cardiovascular event. Others can be stroke.
Stroke.
I've seen a man in my own village. He was riding motorcycle to go for Mango Festival. On his bike, the thing struck him. He fell down. And you know villagers, what would they say? He hemereme, efenia, atoriato, madem, on one near Yanazo plantain, Yanazo fence. But it's undiagnosed hypertension that nobody knew. They rushed him to hospital. Doctor said it's hypertension. They did their best, but the man still died of stroke.
We couldn't save him.
Yes, we couldn't save him. Other complications are kidney challenges, kidney failures. Chronic renal failure, it knocks off your kidney, and once it knocks it off, it's irreversible. Nothing can be done. It can make you blind.
Hypertension?
Yes. Makes you blind. When the blindness from hypertension is also irreversible. Glasses will not solve the problem. Putting drugs in the eye will not solve it. It was even then, yes, even then the retina. That is where it causes the problems.
Okay. Let's talk
And
about
so on and so on. The other complications are there.
The one we remember will say it. But when we are growing up, they will tell you that some of the causes of hypertension or balambani like all those kind of things. I want us to talk about it right here.
People that don't rest
every time they are walking, they are doing so many things at the same time. And just like we have established that some of these children that are still in secondary school, some of them develop high blood pressure. So what could be the cause of this particular thing? And then again, stress, working so hard, not sleeping at night, maybe you're working throughout the night and all those things also trigger one getting this particular...
Yes, also very important. What we don't call them causes of primary hypertension, we call them predisposing factors.
Okay.
Call them that is a situation that will make you likely to have it. And they're the ones I'm going to mention now. The first one, we may not have the time, the first one is lifestyle. AC office, AC in the car, AC in the house. The disease of the executives, like our governor. His car is always in the AC, but the man knows because he always does exercise. AC in the car, AC in the office, AC at home, even the corridors where he's going through in some places, AC, AC, AC. Such situations predispose to developing obesity. So the bigger your body size, the more the chances of hypertension.
The bigger the body size.
Yes. What
But some
doctors
people
call,
are naturally
what
big.
doctors call, yeah, whether natural or what doctors call body mass index.
Okay.
Once you are that huge, a bit tall, once you are in the obesity range, then it's a predisposing factor. You might develop it. If you have a familiar history, your parents, or one of them, or where your mother is coming from, particularly the maternal lineage, that one is very, very, very strong. If somebody is hypertensive there, you are likely going to have it over time. Cigarette smoking, another lifestyle, is a predisposing factor. Alcoholism is a predisposing factor. These are the major ones. Then, people will always send in HHH, as I was asked in the very beginning. Yes, everybody thinks. HHH doesn't cause hypertension. Everybody thinks. If you don't think, you're not going to think out of what to do to keep food on the table. Everybody thinks. But there are people who go through what we call a normal stress. From 5 a.m. they are awake, and they don't sleep until around 2, 3. And this becomes a routine. So people are also predisposed to developing hypertension. So that is it.
So now, you were talking about that kind of lifestyle of AC in, AC out, AC that, but then you talked about exercise.
Yes.
So what you're trying to say in a nutshell is exercise could be the key to fighting hypertension.
Yeah. It's often recommended.
What kind of
The physiotherapists will come in, but simple exercises is as a routine is recommended. If
something
people,
that you
if,
do
if
and
people,
sweat.
yes, something you do. It can even be walking around in the room. All these when people come out to do juggling, you run for very long distances. Everybody is seeing you in your shoes, in your white shirt, and this and this. Fine, very good. But people who don't have that time to go out, you can take a walk. You can walk for more than 1 kilometer within your house. I'm coming to treatment and the things that will help us, control hypertension. But chief executives and people who are highly placed in the society are advised to do regular. Everybody, not even those chief executives, everybody is advised to some form of exercise as a routine. And that's where a lot of people are learning it now. You go to many places, even inside villages, you see people come out in the morning, they take a walk. The Catholics will carry their rosary and do a walk. As he's walking, he's saying the rosary. So doing 2 things at a time. After 1 hour, he retires and take a bath and go. Some will go to gym. Some will go play football. Some will play tennis. But when it comes to the walks and you don't have any, please exercise within your house. You can walk inside this place where we are now doing this thing. You can walk for more than 120. You can walk for about 5 kilometers without stopping. The most important thing is that your legs are moving. And when you are doing that, you are burning excess fat that will make you obese and predispose you to having hypertension.
And that extra pressure you're putting, that's making your heart, because when you do exercise, your heart tends to beat faster.
There are some that are recommended for hypertensive persons, but I'm talking about people who haven't become hypertensive.
Okay.
If you do exercise very often as a routine, then
as a preventive measure.
As a preventive measure, you are going to lengthen the time of development of that hypertension if it will come to you. Or it may not even come at all because you are doing.
Okay,
Yes.
let's talk about
And then diet. I haven't talked about diet.
That's about managing
Diet.
how to prevent it. We still
Diet,
get
yes.
preventive measures. But let's talk about the theme for this year's celebration. It's measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live longer.
Exactly.
Yes. Sometimes all these, the machines, or we used to, do all these things. We don't own them. We need to go to probably pharmacists nearby to check it. And sometimes, some people, they ask you to bring money. and him and he and by he have an go singing the mother get go to need to go but I want you to stress how important it is, especially for a person that is already down with hypertension, for you to always check yourself, because from the topic here the thing here, they say you should measure it accurately, measure blood pressure accurately, and know how to control it. That is if it's high or if it's low. We also talk about low BP here, but I know today is hypertension day, but we just briefly talk about it. So I want you to stress the importance of checking it on a daily or on a weekly basis.
Yes.
Or how often do we need to
that
do
is
that?
If we do everything in World Hypertension Day and don't talk about checking it, then we have not done a good job. What is needed is always measure your blood pressure. But the question here is, who measures? Who should be the one to measure? And then, how frequent? Very important. Now, the right person to measure your BP is a medical doctor. Yeah, the best person to measure it, let me not say right, but the best person to measure it is a medical professional, a medical doctor who has gone through the medical school for at least 6 years and came out certified as a medical doctor. Should be the one to measure, because measurement is different from interpretation. Yes. Measurement determines the drugs. Measurement determines the frequency of the drugs. So it is better, it is best that a doctor measures and counsels you accordingly, and then gives the right prescriptions and follow you up. Then, bets all over the world, doctors are in short supply. It is worse here in Nigeria now, when Nigerian doctors are flying abroad now. Jackpot syndrome is hitting us hard now. You employ a doctor today, in 3 months' time, one came for interview, he had the Secretariat, the Minister of Health. He's already having an international passport. Telling you that, look, I'm just holding on this your job for a while. I'll move. So, because of that, nurses also can measure. They are allowed to measure. They are allowed to measure. You know, so people will say half bread is better than chin chin. It's better that somebody measures and measures wrongly than not measuring at all. It's better measuring, but usually nurses will get it, because even our teaching hospitals, they are the ones that measure the ones in the world. But we find that when doctors come forward, they also do what? Measure the same person nurses have measured, and sometimes there's a disparity. So nurses can also measure. These are the people, nurse midwives can measure blood pressure. These are the people who are the rightful persons, doctors and nurses, to measure. It is not the duty of a pharmacist. It is not in their curriculum.
So
it's not a duty of the same thing.
Okay.
It's also dangerous. But in our time now, we are beginning to have electronic devices that you put it here and do your connections, and you sit down there, the thing reads for you.
Even on our phones.
It might be in our phones.
Yes.
It might be right. That thing may measure right, but what about the interpretation? The person measuring, which is that ordinary person who hasn't gotten the training to do it, he reads it, okay, it's okay, 150, assuming you get something like 170 over 100, then that's alarming. You need to make noise, you need to move. But the problem is that interpretation. Would that person know that that thing is high? That's the problem. Then some will measure. I have seen a lot of people who come and say, I was not told me my blood pressure is low. And I say, let me measure. And when I measure, I get something that is within normal range. And somebody have diagnosed the person to have low blood pressure.
Could it be maybe something altered, either maybe a drink of a meal could alter that?
No matter, so long as it is not drugs,
okay,
antihypertensive that brought it low or brought it down to a certain level. What I'm stressing on is interpretation of the measured result. Interpretation. Somebody came to me, blood pressure of 90, for instance, I was trying to avoid figures here. 90 over 70. How on earth will anybody say this is low? It's not low. But this is what some people got by going to measure at the wrong places. And the person might, okay, look at what that person told me, that somebody measured him and got 90/70. Say, hey, your blood pressure is low. Go and take salt. Go and take salt. Put salt in water and drink. And I said, who on earth is recommending this? Thank God you came. Please don't take anything. Go home, your blood pressure is normal. I did. So we have a lot of issues, but the right person to measure, doctors, nurse midwives, they are the ones who have been certified to be able to measure blood pressure. And today in particular, World Hypertension Day in Anambra State, Mr. Governor has said, because he had it, go into anywhere in Anambra State, public facilities of the state, measure your blood pressure free of charge. Nobody's going to charge you.
I was expecting that as you are coming here, that you come with that so that you measure us, the kids, so that you measure us.
I might have to go and come back.
Okay.
I might have to go and come back. I'll send somebody, if I'm busy, to go and measure your people. Because that should be the benefit of you have for having us here.
We talked about the risk factor. In one of guys, we mentioned age. On our age in Madrid, where you want to do with.
It's an oversight. Sorry, it's an oversight.
Okay, so
age is there. They recommended, but I've seen people 90 years, the blood pressure is still normal. But the moment you cross what we call the second half of life, from 40 and above, you should be checking it. You may not be high, but once you cross 40, have a way of seeing your clinician. Ideally, everybody should go for a medical check. Abroad, they do it a lot. Once a year, your employer must mandate you. You must go for a check.
And tender it before the next year.
Yes.
I know of that.
But you don't have to wait until government begins to institute
I don't.
In civil service, which where I belong, we are expected to take an annual leave. I took mine in February. I went. Despite being a doctor, I subjected myself to other doctors.
You said the doctor slumped and died.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really taking care of it.
Exactly.
The fact that there are medical
I did it last year. I did it this year. It's now a routine for me. I don't only check my BP. I check so many other things. I've done it for 3 consecutive years now. But there are people there sitting at the secretariat. 5 years they've not taken an annual leave.
5 years.
5 years, they've not taken annual leave. They've not gone for checks.
Doctors like you?
Even doctors. Doctors, nurses, they are the secretariat, non-health workers.
Even some people,
5 years, they've not left that office to go and rest.
Even some people
5 years, they've not taken anybody to see them. Are you sure they're resting? Some take that annual leave and take it to go look for that thing that will give them money.
No.
And then after getting the money, you come and die. People will use it and bury you.
It's a pathetic situation.
So age is there. Once you cross 40, begin to check, because age is a predisposing factor. Right. The higher the age, the higher the chances of
developing
hypertension.
I also want to talk about the drugs. The drugs we say that you take, just like as you mentioned, the grandmother used to take drugs every day. Doesn't it affect other vital organs?
No. Well, drugs have generally what we call side effects. Yeah. Even if it is folic acid, those simple ones we know, paracetamol, they all have side effects. But when it is prescribed by a doctor who knows the normal dose, the overdose, the side effects, we know how to manipulate these things so that there are some you take, you start coughing. There are some antihypertensives you take, you start coughing. But I will take it won't make him cough. Yes. That's a side effect. And if you take and take, and you, Doc, I'm coughing a lot. I cough a lot, and this cough is dry. It's not stopping. I'm not producing anything, but I keep coughing. It doesn't allow me to sleep. He will remove it and put another one. He knows the one that is causing it. There are some you even take, you start having headache. Antihypertensive, you start having headache. And when you come with that complaint, he will remove that one that is giving you headache and place another one. Antihypertensives are many. There are some you take, you start developing edema. Your legs will start swelling up. But your BP will be normal. You complain to your doctor, he watches and sees. If it is not giving you a problem, that leg swelling, he asks you to continue. If it's giving you problems of wearing your shoe and other things, he will have to remove it and put you on something better.
Now you talked about age. Now I want to know gender.
Because I think I've seen more women down with hypertension than I've seen men. Or is it that men generally don't go for medical checkup, but they just believe that so long as I wake up in the morning and I move around, I think I'm okay?
I'm not sure, again, to be sincere. I may have to go and come back. Which sex
Predisposes to
that are more disposed to having it than the other. I'm not sure. But the complications seem more to be men than women. The complications, like you see a woman with very high blood pressure, 200 over whatever, 200 over 110. He will be on a lorry and go and bring yam back from Niger State. Nothing will happen. And he's no more going around. Women, they are usually physiologically stronger.
You mentioned the man.
Yes.
Okay, women are
men, yes, women are physiologically stronger.
Women are physiologically stronger.
Yes.
Generally, yes. Yes, that's why they can carry pregnancy. You and I can carry. And so
Okay, right. I'm going to take a short break because we want to hear from our parliamentarians out there in the street. So let's hear what they have to say about this day, managing hypertension. If they have been managing it very well, or if they even know that this particular ailment exists, let's hear from them. We'll be right back.
I didn't go to check up. I'm a nurse. You understand me? So in the end, they have to about what doctors tell them to do, because those are certain things they're supposed to be avoiding. Because in this world, I cannot take, especially in this our country, you cannot think, because how things goes up and down. We are human. You understand me? So what they do, like some people that take more salts, they have to know how to cut it off, because a hypertension person is not supposed to be taking more salt.
I'm hypertensive. I'm a nurse. So every day. Yes, I manage myself. They'll be going for checkup. They will not miss checkup and they will not miss drugs. Yes. They will buy what you call BP apparatus, which is electrical, so that they can use it every day. If they are doubting it, let them have to. Because some people will say, I don't want to use it because it's giving me they say, might give you low or high. If you are ignorant, you buy the one that can show red. Because that one that speaks like English people, you might not hear. There are ones that show red when it's abnormal, if it's low or if it's high. Then when they wake up in the morning, it's good for them to sit down small before they rise, because they might have what you call hypertension or hypertension that will affect their movement. They will swing and they will fall.
I go for general checkup every month. You don't just go for a particular. At my age, I am 63, so every month I make out time to go for that. It all depends on your approach to life. There are people who take a lot of things to heart. At this age, whatever I have not achieved, don't bother me. Any lifestyle, any of my children above 18, especially those of them that are out of university, any life they choose to live, don't bother me. I live my life the way I feel I should preserve my life.
Once in a month, sometimes 2 months, 3 months. But they're telling me that my BP is just like a baby something, you know. Each often I went for the test, you know. Yeah, they'll tell me that it's good. I don't have anything relating to high BP, you know. They should go for regular checkup. When they notice any signs of maybe weakness or maybe something change in their body systems, then they go for checkup, because he's a bad killer. He's a killer. You know, he can kill anytime. He can kill somebody anytime. So they go for regular checkups, maybe once in a month, especially once in a month. But somebody that has it will always go for checkup, maybe 2 or 3 times in a day.
Hypertension checkup, I do go every 2 weeks. Sometimes if I'm posted out, it take 1 month before I go there. As you can see now, I'm just coming out from there. I advise people to how to manage their distance. They should take their drugs according to doctor's prescription. Take it when it is due and check up when it's time to check up.
I've been going for hypertension tests, but for recent time I've not gone. So I know that it's very important, and doctor have advised me that checkup is very important in our daily life. So for our healthcare, we need to go for checkup, and because they say that that prevention is better than cure. So, but for a while I've not gone due to the nature of my activity.
Well, we've seen it from our street parliamentarians, and then people are talking about the importance of checkup. And then there was this one that really caught my fancy, where the young man said, Jerry said he doesn't take much interest in how the children tend to live their life, so long he lives his own life, you understand, the way he wants. And I wouldn't know, the doctor is here to say, can we just play a blind side to our children's mischievous lifestyle just because it might generally affect us? Because we are talking about a man trying to preserve his own life and then shelve himself from the worries of the world. What do you have to say about that?
No. It's very simple. Children's problems don't begin the moment they become an adult. You start doing the very basic things and very basic responsibilities you should do as a parent early enough in life. Teach them the right things, teach them the right morals, give them quality education, and make it known to them that they must fend for themselves. The habit of keeping wealth for children is very bad. They may grow up and begin to think differently about those wealths, and that is often what lands us in problems. So if I have anything today, material, anything that can give wealth, is for the training of those children. And once they can fend for themselves, come on, to hell with you. You have to leave me alone.
So that way you take care of yourself?
Yes, I take care of you to a certain extent. You go fend for yourself.
Provided you give them the basics.
Provided you give them the very basics in life. Give them quality education. Where you may assist them in getting a job, you still have to. Well, once they are gainfully employed, come on, you leave me alone. If you don't leave my house, I get you out.
That's good. Now, you talked about the gender, you can't say for sure if the woman predisposes more to. Now, we are talking about children. What would make a child, let's say, below 25 years, be hypertensive?
Exactly. A professor visited us a few days ago in the Ministry of Health and said he carried out a study. The professor from Anambra State here, he carried out a study checking blood pressure of children in secondary school, and he was amazed with the figures he got, that a good number of children in secondary school are becoming hypertensive. And then, what are the likely causes? What actually have predisposed them to developing this? Tobacco. I said it initially. Some of them smoke hell. Now, anything smokable, they go with it. Substance abuse and drug abuse is high in our society now. Even those in the secondary school are taking to drugs. It can give them hypertension, it can give them other mental health disorders, mental illness and so on. So it's there. So school children are beginning to develop hypertension. And then lifestyle, general lifestyle, alcoholism, the food they eat, the high contents of sodium in what people eat out there, from supermarkets, from several eateries, a lot of things, call it spices and so on. But they contain high quantities of sodium. Those things can make blood pressure to go high in a much very younger person. Yes.
And what about family? We talked about maybe whether it's hereditary.
Not really hereditary as in genes, but family history. We call it family history. If a father is, particularly mothers, if a mother is hypertensive, some of the children will not escape. Some of them may have it, some will not have.
All right,
let's I wanted to say,
and then race.
Because of what?
Race.
Race, yes.
It's also more in the Caucasians than Africans. Hypertension is more in Nandiocha Caucasians than the blacks.
The way I'm seeing it now.
Because we are tilting, we want to live like them.
Okay.
Our diet is tilting towards their own. We no longer swallow the apple we are known for, the gari we are going for.
Shawarma and the rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, I wanted to just say we've talked a lot about hypertension. What about the low blood pressure?
The sister to the
Yes, the low blood pressure. In fact, to be sincere with you, this is my 22nd year of being a doctor. I've not seen a single case of low hypertension, low blood pressure. I've not seen a single one. I have not seen one. But it exists. But let it be a doctor who will make that diagnosis of low blood pressure. What I've consistently seen is normal blood pressure that people say it is low blood pressure. Normal blood pressure, and people say it is low blood pressure. What I have seen, I didn't say it doesn't exist. Low blood pressure also exists, but I have not seen one. But people must be careful in making that diagnosis. Let it be a doctor who will say this is low blood pressure, and he knows what to do when he gets that. But for people to come out and say I have low blood pressure, no, it's not correct. Let a professional say it, not you.
All right.
I've had a situation whereby a friend of mine went to an eatery, ate, read a few pages of a newspaper, only for him to stand up. He slumped. And they rushed him to a nearby pharmacy and they diagnosed him of having low blood pressure.
Nearby pharmacy. Nearby pharmacy, and they diagnosed him.
Yeah.
Diagnosis was made at the wrong place. Yeah, even in our local environment here now, you go into most pharmacy shop, you see speak, you see stethoscope. It is wrong. It's not their duty. Theirs is ideally a pharmacy should be somebody comes in there with a prescribed drug from a doctor. Then the pharmacist talks to you about the use of those drugs. If he's not very okay with some of the drugs, he puts a call to the doctor and calls him, are you the one that gave this drug, this and that, this and that? And then he issues the drug. The job of the pharmacist is not to measure blood pressure. Quote me anywhere. I'm saying it before the whole world.
All right, let's talk about the preventive measures because our time is running out. Let's talk about some of the preventive measures. What are the things we need to do so that we don't even get ourselves into the mess of being hypertensive?
The things we need to do.
Number one, our women, those that become pregnant, those that are still within the reproductive age, pregnancy is a factor too. I didn't say it. Yeah. If you become pregnant, you must register and go for antenatal. This time around, our own governor has made it free in Anambra State. That once you come into any public facility in Anambra State, outside the teaching hospitals, all the general hospitals, all the primary health centers, if you come in there for antenatal, nobody's going to charge you any money. And in the process, you have your blood pressure measured. That is one. Then, the other preventing things we have to be doing is regular checks. For those who are already above 40, that is the second half of life, you will need to have a doctor. In fact, I advise people, have a personal doctor. There are qualities of people that we need to have as families and as matured persons. You should have a priest, you should have a lawyer, you should have a doctor. Not necessarily paying them, but establish a good rapport with them and have one that you can run to.
Lawyer.
I said it.
Pastor, lawyer, and a doctor.
You must have one.
And one babalawo.
You should have one. I advise those I come in contact with. Because one day, any of these, in fact, our problems revolve around these three persons.
Yeah.
It revolves around them. So you must have a regular check. But if you don't have anywhere, Mr. Governor said today, continue to visit the public facility, the health centers and the general hospital in Anambra State. Once it is for your blood pressure, nobody will charge you any money.
Just checking, but no drugs.
Check your blood pressure. You may not have drugs, so, but check it. If it is high, then when it comes to giving you drugs, then you have to pay now. If you're in health insurance, that insurance covers you,
it.
and our share is there.
Sure.
That's the way. A government that have done all this, haven't they tried? They mean well for our health. Then the other thing is lifestyle modification. The food we eat.
No, stress on that food so that let
all these things we have in the supermarkets. You know, already prepared foods, canned foods, and so on. As much as possible, today is the day we discourage eating of such food. There are people that they must drink Coca-Cola every day. They must drink something every day. No, these are the things that add to our weight. Body mass index keeps going high and predisposed to having that hypertension. Let us return to what we are known for. Our apple is very good. Our plantain is still very good. The local palm wine is still very good. Our vegetables are still there. Our fruits are still there. These days, parents give children some of these things from the supermarket to use to go to school. But they won't give them orange. They won't give them apple. They won't give them mango. They will give them these things that they buy from supermarket.
Rather, they give juice.
Juice?
Packaged juice.
You are saying it now. You are taking it further down, which is correct. Today is the day we discourage such things. How many times do they go there with carrots? They don't. Pineapple, mango. In the even kind that it has been proven to be very good, I talk natural. On your lifestyle, don't high name. No. Today is the day we discourage such things. Then, adults, if you have crossed 40, you should be on vasopressin. 75 milligrams every day. I've said something I shouldn't be saying because we don't mention names of drugs here and we don't mention the dosages of what people should take. But it's cardioprotective. It protects the heart. Then those on already diagnosed hypertensives must be on your drugs every day. The practice we give people is, we tell people is, if you know where you stay and eat at home, keep the drugs there. If you know where you go to eat in the house, in the parlor, it's in the room. So for many people, it's in the dining table. Keep it there so that as you are eating, you are seeing it.
So you won't forget.
You won't forget. And then even when you are checking, no doctor will give you beyond a month. If you are very stable, he will give you 3 months anyway. After 3 months, you go again and check those ones that are hypertensive. The man may have a reason to reduce the quantity of drugs or reduce the dosage, remove some or add some, depending on what he has gotten.
Yeah.
Then regular exercise. But for those who are already hypertensive, it has to be mild exercise. Because if you do so much, you give a lot of work for that heart to do. And that's against the control of BP. Simple exercises. And then for those who are already obese, you must crash that your weight. If you intend to live long, if you want to live long and you're obese, you must crash that weight. That weight must go down. In other words, if it is nkwobi that is causing you to have, stop the nkwobi you are eating. If it's alcohol, stop it. You may not stop entirely, but crash it. And then low salt diet.
Low salt.
Low salt.
Wow.
For those who are already hypertensive, low salt diet. Ideally, it should be remove salt completely. But if you remove salt, life will be meaningless. Yes, you want to commit suicide. So make it low.
Some people even put salt in already cooked.
No, as a hypertensive, you cannot add salt after cooking. Once it is cooked, eat it that way. Once it is cooked, eat it. Don't go add another salt. That was what my teacher taught me in the medical school. Don't go add additional salt. Some will go and add the one they call Maggi sauce.
Oh my God.
Sprinkle on,
That's cooking.
and then we must watch these are the spices we are using in cooking. If they are salty, stop it. Because a hypertensive cannot take very salty food. And then hypertension and diabetes also go together. For those who are diabetic, also watch it. Today is hypertension. But what I'm saying is that because if somebody becomes diabetic, it doesn't really take time. They turn to hypertension, and it becomes hypertension and diabetes in one person. Two bad combinations. So,
I wish we have enough time to go on.
to go on, yeah.
We really need to go, and we want to thank you so much for coming here to enlighten us, and we are here to create awareness about the ailment called hypertension. Of course, ụfọdụ n'ime anyị nwere ike ha anụbere maka ya, ụfọdụ amarakwanụ na ha na-asọfịa, a na-agakwanụ, a na-eli nri ụwa na-aga. But the truth is that some of the ailment I suffer, especially the type I mentioned that is asymptomatic. So all we need to know is once in a while, we just go for general checkup. When you feel that, your body adheres you to it, because a lot of people are saying, I will not watch out there, we're ready today. You go to the hospital and check and do a checkup. How do we get the money for that? But remember that in Anambra State we have a health insurance, Anambra State Health Insurance Agency, ASHA, that you can just register, be an enrollee there. If you know all these things, I can have as a guarantee. You want to look at this stuff, you're just walking into a facility and get yourself checked. We by doing all this, if you know, some of these complications that we talked about here, will not experience it in life. We want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Afam, for joining us on the show this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much for accepting me.
All right, and my name is Chidinma Oranwa. I want to say a very big thank you to you for staying with us throughout the week. And we wish you a beautiful and a happy weekend.
Anambra Juluchukwu Okabwe say, well, a regular medical check will keep you fit at all times. Thank you. See you again next week.